that's the litmus test. Have you got a good business? Well, go away for 3 months.
Yes.
And if it hasn't changed too much, then you know you've got a good business. And if you can't do that, you need to do something about it. Everyone has their challenges, and we're going to see another challenge in the next 10 years as AI tries to really, take care of processes. And I think that's really important to have the right people in your whole team, And so, Rain, if they get those 3 things right, they're passionate, they're profitable, and they're really good at what they do. They've got a great model there.
You're listening to Beyond Growth with Rayan Fernando.
Stephen, so good to have you on the podcast and get your story in regards to McHenry Partners and the long time or the long journey you've had in the Geelong community as well. So welcome.
Thanks, Rayan. Thanks for having us.
That's great. And yeah, look, it's just McHenry Partners obviously been around for 30 years, and you're the founder and managing director. And I guess keen to hear from your own words a little bit about McHenry Partners, what you do and what you offer your clients, and I guess a little bit of that growth journey as well. It'd be nice to get that history on McHenry Partners.
Sure. It was an interesting time. It was nearly 30 years ago when I was probably offered a partnership pathway in an accounting firm, which I didn't really feel comfortable with going down that path. And I think it's important in business that you probably do pick your right partners, because that's really important, just like your life partners. You've got to get that right. And I decided that probably wasn't the right fit, and made a sort of brave decision to go out on my own, and associated with another accounting firm at the time, which we eventually bought that practice 8 years later. So I started on my own, and I probably had 3 or 4 clients that I had at the time, and from there, within 12 months, I had my first employee, and he was a great employee that became a partner as well and brought clients in himself. So he was, I could see he's very passionate, motivated, like I was, and he really came from an environment of really small clients and compliance, and wanted to see the bigger picture and work with bigger clients, which I wanted to. So he was on the same page with what I wanted to do, and he became a partner within 5 years of that. So that was a great opportunity for him, and just to have the pathways for these people coming through that are stars in your business, that you really do want to get great employees that can be even better than you. And from there, my brother come on board, and he became a partner as well, and he was very aspiring too. So we've grown the practice to 17 team members today.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is, and there's two really young junior partners about to come into the business and really provide those pillars for our next wave of growth and for probably ultimately my succession plans in the business, Rayan, too. So as I look to retire the business in probably 5 years' time. So it's been a great journey. I've enjoyed it, and got a great team and got a great clients in their sort of medium-sized business clients, mum and dad businesses. 2 to 20 employees is sort of our niche, and we try and not only help them with their compliance, but we're there to make a financial difference to their businesses, and we do that by helping them make more profits in their business. We introduce financial planning services to make sure they've got wealth creation plans to set them up for them to retire when they want to retire, and provide other ancillary services as well. A finance broking service associated with a legal service that can help with wills and conveyancing and so on. So we see ourselves as a financial services business to refer to the right people to make sure the clients are being serviced well.
That's awesome, and I love that. And it's quite funny. Sort of, our history is I worked for obviously Evologic back in the day, and we looked after your IT, and I think they still do through Virtual IT Group as well. But I think it's just knowing how long we've had that relationship. But then on top of that, then when I was preparing for this podcast, realizing, oh my gosh, 30 years. That's massive.
It is a long time.
And something to be celebrated about. But I guess also, starting back in 1995, I think it was, Geelong's gone through quite a few different things over that period. And I suppose, what's that journey been like? I guess from the almost going back to the GFC stage, and prior to that, in the late 90s, and we had I'm not sure, I moved to Geelong in 2000, so I sort of missed some of I think there was some other collapse, I can't remember the name of, but there was quite a few different things that happened over the time.
Probably a pyramid.
That was the
early
one.
days.
Yeah. So what's that been like? And I guess the evolution of accounting, but also financial advisory and services, like it's quite I guess it progressed quite a bit.
Yeah, obviously there's economic factors that affect businesses. And we did go through that. Geelong felt that with some industries changing with Alcoa and Fords and so on. So, but every business has its own challenges at any point in time. So we've got to be there to support them. Fortunately, there's been some government support. Just like COVID was a good example where it was tough on a lot of retail business, restaurants, and we were there to support them when they really needed it, and got them the government support and put things in place, and that sort of got them over that hairy time. So everyone has their challenges, and we're going to see another challenge in the next 10 years as AI tries to really take care of processes and businesses that are open-minded and go with the times and really prepare themselves how that can suit their business and not have the head in the sand. That's everything's evolving. We're finding in the last 10 years is going to be quicker change than the last 10 years and so on. So and people have got to continue to work on their businesses and look ahead because these changes are going to come from quickly or eventually sneak up on them, and all of a sudden they'll become not competitive if they're not really looking ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's quite funny. You mentioned AI. I feel like every episode I've recorded so far, we've talked about AI. It's such a now and like a clear, like, and not clear and present danger, but it almost is, right? In a business sense, you gotta you don't want to be left behind. This kind of seems to be the feel, and it's quite interesting seeing that. And I suppose it's, you talk about that, but I mean, what's sort of the biggest evolution you've seen from a business mindset and maturity point of view in our region? Because I think that we've gone through a lot of hardship as a regional town in Victoria, but I feel like we've come out, like Geelong now compared to Geelong 20 years ago is vastly different. So I've been here for 30 years almost now, and it's just so different. The changes, right? So 25 years actually.
Yes,
I'll just go do my maths right. So how are you finding the where Geelong is now?
I find that we've been very fortunate that we've been in a growing economy in Geelong. I think Geelong and Newcastle are the two biggest regional cities in Australia, and the immigration into Australia, like 400,000 a year, they tend to populate down the east coast, and we get a lot of spillage off Melbourne from that. And we've seen our housing industry go strength to strength with the subdivisions, and our building industry and trade industry being very strong, and that's probably propped up where a lot of other towns haven't had that sort of development. So that's a lot of employment opportunities, and I think now we're seeing that really slow up, and that's affecting a lot of businesses in the trade industry. And we've probably got probably 15% of our clients are in the building trade industry, so they're starting to bite now as when the work is slowing up. From that end. So that's probably a big change I'm seeing at the moment. And a lot of those clients are needing to find replacement work because it is drying up.
Yeah, and that's the feel, isn't it? Definitely the environment right now. Things are a lot tighter, and decisions are taking longer to make or don't be made at all, which is quite common. And I suppose working in that, the 2 to 20 sort of size companies and businesses, how important is for them to have that sort of business planning and advisory piece in their business? Because I know sometimes you just roll with the punches when it comes to a small business. And when I started my business, I really could have used a little bit more planning. I was back in 2006, I think it was for me. And it's I guess how are you? I guess I think one of the things you talk about is improving clients' financial lives, and I reckon that's just a beautiful thing, because it's something that people sometimes don't think about while they're doing the daily grind of running a business.
ultimately the business has got to generate as much cash flow and profits to the owners to then ultimately, which is just as important, what they make as what they do with it, and investing in that wisely and having good strategies in place to set them up for retirement. They're both equally important, making as much money as you can and doing the right thing with it. But so I suppose with business planning, it is very important. People do need to. They might have all really good plans, but when you've got mum and dad businesses, they just need that extra validification, sort of to accountability with someone like ourselves, because they don't have a board of management. They're not a big company, and successful big companies have good board of management, people that are really switched on and are making good strategies for that company, for their management to follow. So as no small business needs to have a little mini board of management, whether it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith and myself having quarterly meetings and then bouncing things off us to make sure that the confidence what they want to do is really right, so they actually then go and do it. But every business needs to have a 12-month focus and a 5-year focus, and our planning process is just to make sure that they are really headed on that yellow brick road, and the whole team is aware of, on the same page, and that they want to share that with their team, and then they've got confidence to really follow that through. So everyone needs to do it, and not get trapped in the trap of working on your business and not finding time to work in the business. Is my own personal experience probably in the last 5 years is to really make sure I had the time dedicated to work on McHenry Partners business, and that led to some really positive things, because I was doing some really proactive things for the practice, but it was more helping our clients and helping our team members service our clients in a really great way, but to actually have the dedicated time to actually working in our business, which meant introducing even better services, new services, in regards acquiring small accounting practices when there was a couple of opportunities where accountants were retiring, didn't have succession plans, so we bought those practices. So, and they were sort of like tucked into our businesses, and now we bought a practice in Ocean Grove, and we have an Ocean Grove office now. So that wouldn't have come without me dedicating time to working on my business and with the focus, and our business partners all agree with what we wanted to do, and I sort of carried out the strategies to achieve that, and that's going to set us up, and it's made us help create a much bigger pie for our team members and opportunities and junior partners coming through. So and we're in a much better place because I've done that. So
no, it's awesome. And I think we talked offline in regards to the metamorphosis of business, the transition from self-employed to actually running a business and having employees. And you I guess, looking back at 30 years, you've sort of seen that yourself, and I guess the value of not necessarily just being the main person to drive the business or do the work. And I guess that's where the real value is. And even when sort of I work with sort of business leaders from an EOS point of view, it's that sense of like, okay, let's try and work on that strategy, because it's so pivotal, because otherwise, you are just going in, you're in the weeds. I love that sort of metaphor, and just going through the motions, but not necessarily stopping to go like, okay, looking at the future, and like, what do we want from, in 12 months? What do we want in 5 years?
No, it's very, very important. And it's been the journey. I've had a couple other businesses as well, one for real estate I had for about 8 years, and I had a bookmaking business, which was involved in the racing industry, and it was more of a hobby part-time business for about 20 years. And so I haven't been sort of fully burn out from the accounting industry, because I've had those other interests, but I haven't been able to do that if I didn't have the structure in the McHenry Partners and had a general manager at the time when I had those other businesses. But now I'm got this as a sole focus, but I'm back as managing director, and really have grown the business in the last 10 years because those other business I got out of, which were very successful businesses too. So you're having the right people around you to actually for a business to continue without me being reliant on it has been a great thing. And but there's really been some massive improvement over the last 8 years with my sole focus on the practice, which has been great for everyone.
Yeah, and look, it's funny you said that, and I like that actually, because it sort of goes to, you know, a couple of other things I want to talk to you about, but that whole idea that it's easy, and I saw this a lot in my father's business, my dad, and so he'd start a business, and then as soon as it got to a stage where it was ticking along, like doing good but not great, he'd just do something else. Like he'll start something else. He'll start something. So it is easy to get distracted, isn't it? And then you sort of start doing two different things, but you don't do either well, or three different things and either well, and then all of a sudden, your focus is split.
Yeah. I remember an electrical client come to us, it was about 20 years ago, and they wanted to buy a share in an elderly gentleman's business. He was working in the business, and it's very unusual to buy a half share in a electrical business. They're not really worth anything, but he did, and the longer term plan was to learn off the older gentleman, and they built up a team. And these days that business has like 20 staff members, and that owner is pretty much just overseeing it. Doesn't really have to work in the business and make a significant profit. But we see a lot of business when you talk about the metamorphosis of a business, and it's probably no different with what I've done over that journey, where you're sort of self-employed at one time. I'm doing all the tax returns and financials, and that's a self-employed situation. You don't really have a business because you can't have holidays. You're it. So, but to talk to clients and say, okay, look, let's, if it's a plumbing business, let's look at employing people. And if you can employ 5 people and leverage off those 5 people, and you're just responsible for the quoting and the administration and the quality control, and look over those 5 plumbers, you'll make, instead of making 150 what you're originally doing, you'll make 200,000. But you're not actually doing the work. You're actually probably saving your body ultimately long term, but you're actually doing more administration role, and you're actually making 200, 250 at that point in time. And that's where you sort of got a business, and you need to have systems in place and have the good people there, and you're overseeing, but you're leveraging your situation. And then so that's more that you're in a business model. And then how do we get that from a business model to an investor model? You know, and that's what the electrical business has done. And this is plumbing in this example. They just need to probably employ an estimator, employ a general manager, probably have another 8 plumbers in the organisation. And when you probably got to a 20 situation, then that ultimate owner is really probably can be an investor in the business. Like probably I can choose if I wanted to not be working in the business, but and it takes, more systems. It takes, you've probably got a HR department and a little bit of IT department and so on. So it is a bigger conglomerate, but it's, if you've got the right systems in place, so everyone's doing consistently, and you evolve your systems to make sure you're efficient as possible, that's where you want to get it to, because that's ultimately then you've got a more valuable business, because the McDonald's business is a valuable franchise because it's got systems in place. You put people in the systems and away you go. A business is ultimately probably worth between 2 to 5 times the annual maintainable profit. So if you actually build up a profitable business, at a 3 times model, that's probably what it's worth as a valuation. So you're not only building the profitability up, you're not only making the owner have work-life balance and not stress because it's been set up very well. You're also having a valuable business that they can sell at the end of the day and help with their succession plan. And you might actually have some good plumbers or electricians in the system that you're showing them a pathway or giving them a carrot to say, look, if you do this, well, you can buy 10% of my business, and ultimately you've got a succession plan to actually realise the asset out of your business too.
And that's something I think a lot of businesses who fall into that trap of self-employed or sort of get stuck in that small business mind is not sort of thinking about that succession plan, the what's next, and do I really want to be doing this for the next 10 years and then retire, but when I retire, then what? Because there's so much to consider, and especially because I think retiring from now on is so much harder than retiring was 20 years ago, right? I think we're in a stage where you've got to set yourself up. And I think business owners who kind of get in the trap of like, okay, I'm not going to pay myself a wage, I'm not going to pay myself super, and they get to the late 50s or whatever, and it's like, oh, whoops, like you sort of miss the boat, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. We sort of talk to our clients, making sure that they're taking commercial wages out of their business, or how they take it out, but at least they've got to be taking it out, and what a commercial return of profit is on their business, which is generally probably 10 to 15% of their annual sales. So if they're not taking a wage of their 150 and they're not getting like 100,000 on their $1 million turnover business and making 250, well then maybe they shouldn't be in business, or maybe they realise businesses are not performing as well as it should be for what they're putting into the business. And when they realise that, and they go, okay, well, I'm probably here and I should be here. So what do we need to do to get up to here?
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? I think it's so important, and especially starting with that strategic planning of where do you want to go. And I guess I'd like to dig a little bit deeper in sort of what you do in that strategic planning space, because we, from an EOS point of view, as you know, we've spoken about EOS a few times. We sort of answer those eight key questions,
yes.
right? So the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer, it's a 2-page strategic planning process. But I guess talk us through what do you recommend and how you work with your clients, and what how you can sort of add that value being in the room, because I think that's where you and I both do the same thing in certain ways, like being in the room, guiding them through it, using your experience, your 30 years experience to go, okay, what do you think about these things? But talk us through that.
Yeah, you've got to make sure you got the right people in the room, the owners, and sometimes we might have a partnership of 2 independent family owners, so that's really just as important. But even with a husband and wife business, making sure that they're on the same page at the end of the day where they're headed. And as facilitators, we're not there to come up with all the answers, but we know from a business model point of view, all businesses sort of relate to the same strategies or processes we go through. So we want to make sure that their current business model is profitable, and maybe it isn't. So therefore, they need to pivot from that and explore other opportunities that are aligned with that business. But making sure what the business looks like in the next 12 months, 5 years, from a vision and growth point of view. And we want to make sure that in the business is that the owners are passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that it's profitable. The business model is profitable. And we want to make sure that they're really, are they very good operators compared to their competition out there? Are they really good at what they do?
Yeah.
And so, Rayan, if they get those 3 things right, they're passionate, they're profitable, and they're really good at what they do, they've got a great model there. And I think in the Good to Great book we talked about,
Jim Collins,
Jim Collins, which is a great book. He talks about that. I think it's called the Hedgehog Concept, where you sort of get those 3 that overlap. Well, then you've got the opportunity to have a great business from a good business, because you might have a profitable business and you might be really good at what you do, but if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to drive the business from being probably good to a great business. If you're passionate about something and it's not, and it's profitable, but you're not really good at what you're doing, well, then you're probably going to have a good business, not a great business. But so you sort of need 3 of those sort of components to actually potentially be a great business. And obviously his book talks about being disciplined and dedicated to keep driving the business consistently. If you've got those 3 things in place, you've got a good chance of being a really, really great business. But so just making sure they're passionate about where they're heading. It is a profitable model. And what are they good at? Like, one thing we talk about is not trying to be jack of all trades and master of none. So like we talk about what's your competitive advantage in the business. And, maybe from an accounting point of view, every business is either hangs their hat on that to provide a service or a product for a really good price, a cheap price, or they're providing a great quality product. and or they're providing a price that's from a great service point of view.
Just speed.
Yeah. So quick example, maybe if you use the motor vehicle industry, and we've got all the manufacturers out there, Toyota, Ford, Hyundai, Audi. They're all manufacturing of vehicles, but they're all got their own niche market. And when you say, okay, Hyundai is obviously focused on providing a price, their niche market is towards the customers want a cheaper price product. So their whole organisation and their processes are based on doing it as cheaply as possible. Whereas Audi hangs their hat on being, they're about providing a real quality product.
Yeah.
So they're two different niches, and the way they go at the business and the marketing is two different. So they're not trying to say, oh, we provide a great product at a really good cheap price, because you can't do both.
No.
And when you look at your business, you can say, what are you good at? You've got to really focus on that niche and do that well. And when your decisions in your business is it about providing, if we're about accounting practice that provides the cheapest financials and tax returns, well, we're going to do something that's really a bit different to what we're doing now, because our niche is about providing a great service, a prompt service, not only with compliance, but with the consulting as well. And, people have got to pay that, because I've got, a great team and of qualified accountants that are passionate about what they do, and and people don't mind paying a price that if they're getting a great service.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's it. And look, I think that's great. And look, I must admit, when we were talking about getting together and recording this podcast, and you mentioned the Hedgehog Concept, I was so excited. So for those people listening, the Hedgehog Concept, or the idea is that basically it's the parable or the analogy of a hedgehog and a fox.
Yes.
So the fox knows many things and many ways to try and catch this hedgehog, and the hedgehog knows the one thing. So the fox will try cunning ways to surprise attack it, trap it from a corner, or jump in from the top, or whatever it is. And the hedgehog just does the one thing, which is just rolls into a ball, gets all the spikes in every single direction, and then the fox sees it, gives up, and goes on his merry way and thinks of another way of doing it.
Okay.
Whereas the hedgehog sits there and goes, okay, cool, that's back to business, and that's all I do. And I think that was the idea, was that businesses who are the hedgehogs in quotation marks are the ones that find those, the intersection of those three things. What are they passionate about? Is it profitable? And can they be the best at it compared to their competition? And it's something we talked about this off air, that there's nothing wrong with being a good business and, having good profitability and things like that. But I think there's so much value in a business coming to the likes of yourself or from a US point of view, sit there and go like, what can we do to be the greatest? Because it's a real mindset shift as well, because you can get stuck in that lull of like, okay, this is what we do. We do it well. We got good profit. We got good people, and we'll just continue doing this. And then it's that shift to go, okay, are we doing everything that we're passionate about? And that passion is also, you sort of mentioned, it's not something that you can have just at the leadership level too, right? Everyone in the business needs to know, okay, this is what we are trying to achieve, and we passionately want to do it, because you can't fake it beyond the leadership team, and that's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's back to the Good to Great book. Like, he does talk about like having the right leaders in the organisation and having the right people on the bus, and trying to recruit great people that can even do a better job than ourselves is fantastic.
Yeah.
You can get those people, but if you do, then they're going to be passionate about what the vision of the business is, and very passionate when they were dealing with the customers and clients and so on, and help drive the business for you. So if you're rowing together, you're going to get quicker down the stream. So I think that's really important to have the right people in your whole team, and you should hire slowly and fire quickly, really.
Yeah. Just give me 30 seconds. If you're based in Geelong and you're looking to connect, grow, and be a part of a supportive business community, you need to check out the Geelong Chamber of Commerce. When I started my first business, the Chamber had a great impact on my growth. And now with my new business, it continues to play a big part in helping me grow. I believe in it so much that I'm now on the board. So if you're running a business in Geelong, I can't recommend joining enough. Find out more by heading to geelongchamber.com.au. Now back to the show.
You just don't put up with mediocrity. You really need to get the best you can, because it's going to make it so much supportive and easier for the business. And I think when it gets back to the clients that we help with from a regular quarterly meetings point of view to help working on their business, like a lot of business people don't necessarily have the skills and management skills to really understand and what's required to push a business forward, and the HR skills, the IT skills, all those areas. Like, we've got the contacts in that area, so when we actually talk with our clients, like if they're open about working regularly with you, then it has an accountability to it. So when we break it down to, look, what are we doing for the next 3 months? When we catch up again next 3 months, what are the priority of the actions? Now, the priority action should be the one that gives us the greatest improvement towards where we're heading. So we agree on those and agree who's going to be doing them and when they should be done by. So sure, we talk about how the financial quarter's gone, but that's just a segue to what are we doing with working on the business, and us facilitating that. They're coming up with the answers, so they've got the ownership in make sure it's getting done. We might introduce them to our contacts that will help them. If the social media strategies are woeful, we've got a contact that can help you with that sort of thing, as an example. So it gives them solutions to what they want to do, and just by knowing that they're actually catching up with us in 3 months' time means we've got to get that job done, Ray, because I'm catching up with Steve in a month's time. So let's get that done.
Accountability,
accountability. That's just making sure that someone's looking over their shoulder or so much and supporting them. They're more chance of getting it done.
Yeah, and accountability and discipline. Like it's amazing what you can do. Anything in life. I sort of mentioned this a few times in my podcast, but I love it. And that's something I love about EOS. The same thing, that the 3 month quarterly cycle, the fact that we're planning to achieve. We learn from the quarter apart. We've just had, but we don't necessarily dwell on it. We go, okay, how can we make it better? And then what do we need to do to achieve those 1 year goals? It's the ultimate, and that discipline that goes through that. And you probably do the same thing. I absolutely love my session days. They're just so, like, I get so much energy out of it. I had a lady the other day, it was like 3 PM, and she's like, "You're like the bloody ever ready buddy." Where does the energy end? Because 3 o'clock in the afternoon is generally when people start to go, they're struggling. So, but I just find, like, I really enjoy it. Mind you, I crash 9 o'clock at night. I'm just like, I'm done after one of those days. But it is that accountability and that discipline that really makes a massive difference. And to your point of having that right people in the right seat, it's amazing how much not having the right people in the right seat, how much energy you put in as a leader, as an owner of a business, thinking about that person.
Yes.
Yes. And that impact that person has on other people around them. Because so many times when in the past, we've sort of moved somebody on or they've moved on, I'll have someone come to me and go like, "What took you so long?" And you're like, "Oh," and you're kind of hoping you heard sooner, but yeah, that's so true, isn't it? Like high, slow, fire, fast, but also the impact you're having on that person's life because you're keeping them in a seat that isn't for them.
Yes.
And I've seen the other end of that where someone's moved on, and I catch up with them now, and they're like, they're living their best lives, and you're like, I feel bad because we should have had that conversation probably 2 years earlier.
True.
Because people do drag that on, don't they?
Definitely. It's good for everyone. The business is good for the other team members if they've got someone that's not a great fit because they're not probably creating a great culture by them being there. And that's
exactly.
I've experienced that and seen that. So and they go to the pastures that they are more suitable for them. So that's nothing personal. That's just life,
that's it,
Yeah. So.
And also, it's not only does that impact all those things, it impacts your vision for the business because you've got this anchor to a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can't achieve these things with these people here. So,
Mm.
and I like that in Good to Great, it sort of mentions the who, then what. You know, get the right people, then work on the strategy, because the strategy will make a lot more sense when you've got the right people, they've got the right passion, they get it, they want it, and they have the capacity.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was interesting. He said, like, have the strategy after the people, which, I mean, depends what level of people, because I was a bit surprised by that, because I thought, like, your core level management, would probably be setting the strategy, but how deep was he talking about these other
I think
people?
we're talking about leadership teams.
Yeah.
But there was one analogy or one example where they were losing $1 million a day.
Okay.
They had debts underwater. There's like the wording from the book. And he said, no, we're not building the strategy till I get the right people.
Yeah.
And to have the discipline in that moment, like it's one thing to go, okay, we've got to make a decision, but I struggle with dealing with people, and that's that's an issue.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be the money's going out the door daily.
Yes.
So, but look, I think the thing is, Good to Great talks about some amazing companies based out of the US, and there's some unique characters from a leadership point of view. Like they talk about the L5 leaders in there, and it's really, really interesting to see. But I think sometimes bringing that down to the smaller business is a little bit difficult.
Yes.
You just don't have the bandwidth to play with as such as well, do you? But at the same time, it's a good mindset to go into a session with yourself or myself, into a quarterly session where you are going with that mindset, like, how can we be better and greater than we are now?
Yeah, and definitely, like, it's every business can improve, and it's an investment. Imagine owners got to see it as an investment in some expertise that they don't currently have, and I haven't seen a situation where McHenry Partners has spent time with a business owner that they haven't got that investment back in multiple sort of things. So
that's awesome.
I can't think of a situation where we haven't helped a client, but if we embarked on a initial session and they'll do everything right, well, then they've got the validation. That's all good, but that hasn't sort of happened yet. Yeah. But but there's always opportunities to improve, and also thinking outside the square. Opportunities to go down find other income streams or something which is complemental with your business. So which just thinking laterally. So,
and that's important, isn't it? Because it's business profits, and that'll get you a certain somewhere. But you sort of, what do you do with that income? What do you do with those profits, and to try and generate more income?
Yes,
and that's where you sort of step in as well, don't you?
Yeah, like one interesting exercise we talk about, and obviously I'm trying to make the business more profitable, and a lot of overheads in the business are generally fairly semi-fixed, and it's when you look at the gross profit, that's where the opportunity to make more money in the business is, and gross profit is a combination of creating new customers or creating a bigger spend from the existing customers you got, and it's much easier to get an extra spend out of an existing customer than creating a new customer. And so if you can create a new income stream and cross sell it to the existing customers, well, then they've already bought from you, so it's easier for them to buy again. But that's an interesting exercise we do with clients, Ryan, is just when I look at their gross profits. We use a restaurant client that we talked about. That they may have spare seats in their restaurant consistently, so they do really have a need to create new customers, and that comes from their marketing and creating new leads and people visiting their physical restaurant, or whether it's an online site, getting more people onto their site, and then obviously getting to convert that customer, making sure convert the lead to a customer so they actually buy. So some businesses need new customers. Mm-hmm. Some businesses may be getting actual leads onto their site or into their store, but not actually converting them because their salespeople or their step processes to get them to buy aren't great. So they need some education or some work in that area. And then you've got the component, what can we do with working with our existing customers? And customers, you might find on average, a restaurant customer might be coming in 3 times a year, and they might be spending $150 per visit. Now, can we get them to come in 4 to 5 times a year, and can we get them to buy extra when they're in there. So their average spend is, $180.
Yeah.
So that's contributing to gross profit. So we need to break down what's making up their gross profit in those components to then say, okay, how can we actually improve these?
Do you want to define gross profit for those listeners that may not quite know?
Yeah, sure. So if there's a restaurant and their turnover was $1 million a year, their actual probably the material purchases for making their goods might be $200,000, and we might have some direct wages with their chefs and so on, which could be considered as a direct cost. So that might be $200,000, $300,000 a year. So they've got their gross profit, let's call it $600,000. Their direct costs of $400,000 in materials, and their direct labour is $400,000. So their gross profit is $600,000. So that means they're keeping 60% of technically every sale.
Yeah.
And then they've got their overheads, which is probably their general wages and their rents and light and power and advertising and so on. And that might be $500,000, and that leaves $100,000 net profit.
Yeah.
So they've got a 10% net profit on sales, and their gross profit 60%. So
and we get stuck often looking at those fixed costs, don't we? How do we reduce the rent? How do we reduce the electricity? Things that don't have a massive impact. But I love that the 5 components of gross profit you shared with me is how do you improve gross profit by increasing sales, increasing leads, increasing conversion, having the right people in the restaurant that upsell, so getting better wallet share, so to speak, from the person in the restaurant. Maybe try the entree, I think
buy extra drink.
Yeah, exactly. And if a business looks at it like that, and not just one lever, but having those sort of 5 levers you talked about, which is amazing. It's so powerful, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah, the overhead side of things is, you've probably got fixed overhead, so you can't do too much with it, and they're the easy ones to go to. But then you probably got your staff that, you find that you probably, let's say in the overheads are probably 2 or 3 general staff members, but they've probably got capacity. So there's some efficiency gains because they're probably not totally efficient in what they're doing. They've got capacity. So sometimes we rejig roles amongst staff members to free up a bit of capacity to actually focus on a new role. So we're getting actually more out of what we're currently paying as opposed to cutting them back. Because sometimes we have capacity in the staff, but ultimately we want to increase the sales to create more activity, which takes a little bit of overhead or some staff to support that. So we know got the capacity, but instead of shedding half a staff, if we can up the sales and the gross profit, we'll need that extra capacity. So it's not about just cutting it. It's about how we can actually increase it to fulfill or we're actually operating at capacity.
Absolutely. And then this sort of ties us back to that whole the right people, the right seat, right? And the right people in the bus.
Yeah.
And if you've got a great staff member that's 50% utilized and you're not making as much money as you want to be making, and you cut that staff member, then you're losing that capacity, right?
Yes.
And on top of that, if they were the right person in the bus, trying to find them again is so hard.
Yeah.
So fixing the sales is I absolutely agree with this. I love it.
And retraining the staff is a big one as well.
Impact,
and finding them.
Yeah.
And the cost
looking
to
at
find
6 months minimum.
Yeah.
By the time they're back to where that person was, and we cut them because we didn't want to work on the top line.
Yeah. So maybe there's other things you could do before you let them go in regards to utilising that spare capacity until you sort of utilise the capacity with increasing sales and so on. So it's probably a short-term solution to let them go, really.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, hopefully it's the last thing you have to do, and you can do a bunch of different things. But that's where the value comes in, sitting in the room with the likes of yourself.
Yes.
And going like, what can we do? How can we improve that? We do one of the tools we use in the Oasis is the 8 cash flow drivers, and we talk about increasing revenue and decreasing expenses. And this one feeds into it so well for me. And I'm like, I loved it. As soon as you sent it to me, I'm like, this is great. It's that alignment. I love the alignment of what you do. And this is the thing where EOS is not for everyone. And it is what it is. But I think no matter who you work with someone, I think is the takeaway, isn't it?
Yeah. Your principles in that process is fantastic. It's just about like dumbing it down sometimes for smaller businesses. It applies to everyone. It's just a matter of dumbing it down and making it affordable in little bite sizes for some smaller businesses.
Yeah, agreed. And it's just keeping it simple. But then, totally agree that I think everything from a tools point of view is so valuable for any business.
Yeah.
Even a single operator, if they're sat there and we're like, let's just make a plan.
Yes.
Let's create a strategy. What's my goals? And then, even looking at those gross profit levers, like it's for any business, it's so valuable.
Yeah, we have a real basic service, advisory service, where like for $500 a month, our manager will speak to the clients every quarter, and I'll spend an hour with them. There's a bit of preparation and follow up with providing the action plans from that meeting. But we have a quarterly report which shows a variance of what's happened from the budget. We prepare a budget for the 12 months. It's in a quarterly report. They can see the variances. So at the start of the agenda, it's briefly talking about what's happened for the last 3 months.
Yep.
And we talk about, okay, did you achieve those things you were going to do for the last 3 months, the actions? If not, why not? Are they still priority? Yes, they are. And what are the core issues have we currently got? And are they a priority? Okay, what's going to be addressed? Who's going to do it? By when? That's summarised and it's sent to the client. And then they've got some accountability between now and the next 3 months. And it's just like a touching base every quarter, and the client's paying $500 a month for that service, and it allows a little bit of discussions along the way. But like it's a great investment, and we find after 12 months of things being put in place, the client's profit's going to improve $20,000-$30,000 or something once 12 months is kicked in.
For a very small investment.
A very affordable investment. Yeah. So, it works really well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think it's something that, like I said before, every business needs that. Like you said, someone in the bench, someone on the board of directors, so to speak, who can sit there and advise. But like you said, that facilitation, right? How do we get the answers from there? Because generally 90% of the time or more, the answers are in their meeting, in the room. It is, they just haven't had the time to think about it and stop and go like, oh, we should do this, And so there's value in that, isn't there?
Yeah, there's some skill just making sure that the business owner is coming up with those answers and coming up with the opportunities, and so they've sort of got ownership when they say, I think we should do this, and we're sort of leading it to them and you're reinforcing them. But by them actually saying that, right, and they've sort of got skin in the game. It's their idea. They've got ownership, but they want to see it succeed because it's a mindset thing.
It is.
But as consultants and facilitators, we can sort of see what it could be, but we refrain from saying, you should do this, or this is where you should head, or because at the end of the day, that's our idea, not their idea. If it's sold like that. Yeah,
and I think that, like you said, the buy-in's different, then, isn't it? It's like, Stephen said we should do it, rather than I think we should do this, and Stephen agrees.
Yeah, exactly.
Such a different mindset.
It is.
And like you said, like when you go through and you get, like, I've had a few clients now get to their 12 months and over, and it's so good when you do that sort of annual planning session. We sort of do an annual planning thing over a couple of days, and then look back on the 12 months, and they can see those improvements, and they make a massive. It boosts people, don't they? They see the 12 months of like,
Definitely.
Okay, we worked 12 months on this. We've improved, like you said, we've got more revenue coming in, or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden that great switch gets switched on, doesn't it? And they go like, we could even better now.
For sure. That's the most pleasing thing about the whole process, is seeing the business owners not being as stressed out, having more balance in their business and helping their family life and getting more support from that, because that's such a positive thing. So when you see after 12 months, 2 years, and a good example, I was dealing with a surveying business for a few years, and when they came to us, the cash flow, it was a reasonable business, but they had cash flow issues, and over summer, they're worried about how they're going to pay the wages over the 4 weeks when the business sort of shuts. And so we embarked on a quarterly process. So it was actually monthly for the first 12 months, and then we said, okay, we've got this under control. Let's meet quarterly. But after 12 months and especially 2 years, there wasn't a cash flow issue in the business anymore, and they ain't having peace of mind that they can actually go on holidays in January and not worry about that is a big thing. And now there's a partner that's come on the business because the business has got some bit more system. It is more profitable, a lot more profitable, and they've been able to sell, a 10% share initially in the business, and now he's got a business partner, which is another strong pillar in the business. Now that wouldn't have been possible if they've got a rotten business that's trotting along that's not very sellable, and they wouldn't have got as good a price. So it's gone a long way from a cash flow, work-life balance, having a partner come in that's given him this support, and that's just so much better. 3 years after we started.
Yeah, and I like that, and I've got a similar sort of thing. But what I find really valuable too is that how you make that business attractive to people wanting to come in and get involved. You know, and I've got a similar scenario where they got two people that want to get involved now, seeing how much they've grown in 12 months. But in saying that, I think the strongest or the most powerful thing it is how attractive you make your business to yourself.
Yes,
because it's not that anchor in your life that's slowing you down and not giving you enough money or enough revenue or to do what you want to do. All of a sudden you get to 12 months down the track and you're like, I'm excited about this. But then that positivity breeds more positivity, right?
For sure.
It's that's the bit that I think almost gets lost. Everyone looks at, we get stuck in looking at the dollars. We go like, look at the revenue. But like the mental mindset that changes when your business is doing better and how you then carry that to potential partners, your staff, your clients, all that is little positive increases along the way, which
definitely.
It's so good.
It is so good. And, it was funny that in that particular situation, there was two things that probably caused the angst of the business. One, the owner was actually a bottleneck to the business because they're making decisions on everything, and the workflow wasn't getting through. But he wasn't prepared to delegate because he probably didn't have the right people around him to actually do the work well. So we identified, really who the weaklings were in the organisation and changed some structure and got the right people in the right seats. And then all of a sudden, they took over responsibilities, and then we didn't have bottleneck anymore.
Yeah.
So it flowed things really up really well. So, and from there, never look back.
Yeah, that owner bottleneck is dangerous. And seeing that, especially, I got a couple of clients that have sort of been running for 20 plus years, and then trying to break that bottleneck is hard. So the sooner you can do it, the better. Yeah, like I think it's just it becomes really hard to unpack that if it's been a decade or 2 decades of being a bottleneck, rather than a couple of years and going like, okay, I'm the one holding us back.
For sure.
But it takes a little bit of, I guess, sometimes you get a bit proud on the fact that this is what you go, oh, the business needs me. But I think I think there's value in making sure like yourself.
Yes.
The business not needing you, but then opening you up to be that, okay, how do I make this better?
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's that value is so much more than you doing the work, isn't it?
Well, that's a pretty massive point, because people have to leverage the situation. It's no different to what I had to go through in regards to the business isn't relying on me. The clients really don't necessarily need to see me. They used to see me and they know I do a good job. But I started saying to our clients, look, Nick is going to look after you and be your first port of call with everything. And I work closely with Nick, and he's going to involve me when I need to get involved. And we're going to do that because, one, it keeps our costs down because we're pushing down at the lower level. But you're still going to get the same service because we follow processes and at the end of the day, we've got quality control. So you're going to be looked after just as well, but you need to go now to speak to Nick, and then that sort of freed me right up, and that's how you leverage. So the person you're talking about before needs to explain to the customers they don't necessarily need to see Freddie. They they're happy with the service or the product, and this is how it's going to work, and give them the confidence, the communication.
And that's the thing, the communication, key word there. I think, if all of a sudden Freddie turns up, it's a bit different. Oh, sorry, doesn't turn up, it's different. But I think communication is so important.
Yeah. How's Freddie going to really have a business? How can he proof in the pudding if he can step away from the business and Freddie can actually keep operating that business? The business keeps operating without Freddie. You know, if he's the bottleneck or wants to have control, like ultimately he really hasn't got a business, because it's not going to survive. He hasn't put things in place for other people to follow.
Yeah.
So that's the litmus test. You really, have you got a good business? Well, go away for 3 months.
Yes.
And if it hasn't changed too much, then you know you've got a good business. And if you can't do that, you need to do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of exactly, it's funny. I actually got a video on LinkedIn. Exactly that.
Okay.
It's like, how do you know if you've got a good business? You can step away.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, or why do you need something like an EOS or an advisor that can help you grow your business? Is can you step away? Can you go on holidays and just get a couple of numbers and go like, oh, yep, cool, business on track. I'm good.
For sure.
And it's especially for businesses owners who've been doing it for years and years, that first holiday where they don't get a call, or they don't get an email, or interrupted in any way, that is like their best holiday, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And they'll remember it, and that again, it's that. I don't know. I just
sort of made it. They made it to a certain point. Then one, they can afford a nice holiday.
Yes.
And two, they're not getting bugged. They're not working on their holiday.
Yeah.
And they've got better peace of mind, and actually, probably for their health wise, they're actually relaxing when they're on holiday.
Which is and I think I had the conversation just yesterday with a business owner. They're kicking off with EOS. I'm really excited.
Great.
And he sort of said he went away on holiday for 2 weeks and just got called, got emailed. Constantly.
Relocation.
So there was no reset, there was no recharge. And it is important because then and what happens is if you got prolonged years of that and you go on holiday and you still don't get a recharge, that stress levels just pile up and pile up. You don't need that in your life. We work way too much to not achieve that as well.
Well, there's no doubt you have to do it. There's early on in your business, as you probably go from that metamorphosis, self-employed to a business. There's no doubt you have to do that. But unless you've got a plan in place to evolve the business and get it to where it is a genuine business and you got the choice to work in it or not, how do you get there? So you've got to keep working on that. If you're not working on that, well, then you're going to deserve, what you're getting.
Yeah.
What you put in is what you're going to get out. You need to, if you're going to put in, just make sure you surround yourself with the right people to get there as quickly as possible. And I think that's one of my biggest takeaways in life really is just, time's short, time's precious, and you've got to surround yourself with the right people to leverage, because people have got experts in sort of certain areas, and by the time you learn how to do something, whether it's a marketing point of view or it's talking about investing in a property or something like that, or you leverage yourself to help people get there quicker, and it's a small price to pay, investment to pay, rather than you losing time. Because the compounding effect of time with your business or with your investments, the more you can get in place earlier, you're going to see some big compounding with your business and your investment later on.
No, absolutely. And we're in a good space for that too. I don't know why, but like 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't even hear the word fractional leadership. Right. But now fractional leadership is everywhere. So if you need a bit more financial nouns, you can get a fractional financial, like accountant or a financial advisor, like a CFO, fractional CFO, right? Okay. Or even marketing, or even I sort of played a role in a service team from a service delivery point of view. I sort of sat there, it was just a few hours a week, and I helped them build that service delivery piece. And so I think it is important as a business owner that you don't need to know it all, and you don't need to spend necessarily on someone full time.
Yes,
because that's the fear, isn't it? It's like, I can't afford $150,000 to have someone in that finance space or someone in that marketing space do the work for me. But you can bring it down to chunks, hire a cheaper resource to deliver, or even outsource that and get the same marketing impact, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's something I'm finding quite a bit. So it's I guess for you, what's next for McHenry Partners? What's 2020? I mean, 30 years in.
Yes.
You hinted at the start about next 5 years is kind of where you're seeing yourself stepping away more. But what are you seeing that? Obviously, you got a bunch of partners. You've got a great team. You're delivering an amazing service in our region, and what a region to be delivering service in, right? I love Geelong.
Sure.
But yeah, what's next, Stephen?
Well, yeah, I've got a bit of a 5-year plan, and it's and ultimately I am working on the business heavily at the moment. So I do want to see our financial services business evolve to be offering, becoming bigger, but also offering smarter services and even more consulting services than what we're currently doing. So. As we grow, we want to make sure that we've always got capacity to take on provide those extra services, and that's a trap. A lot of businesses and a lot of accountants out there that we know we can do these services, and two, we've got to make sure we've got the capacity to do it. So, we're always looking for acquisitions and complementary things to the business. So. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing what we've done the last few years for the next 5 years, and that creates opportunity for our team members to be able to do high level things and grow in the organisation as well. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting times, and I'll look for the next 5 years.
Awesome, Stephen. It's been awesome to chat to you. I absolutely loved this. The topics that we discussed today, going in deep with sort of that, and I suppose. Just as a wrap up, if someone is thinking about starting a business in no matter where, in region or whatever it is, what are your tips from a business point of view or from a owner point of view? Should they be thinking about before they pull that trigger, in the sense of like, okay, I'm going to go on my own?
Yeah, it's really important when we do talk to people about going into business. Are they suitable for the business? Are they actually knowing what they're getting into? And just making sure that they probably tick those 3 boxes that we've talked earlier about. Like, is it a profitable model? Is it, are they passionate about that, and are they going to be good at it, really? And can they grow it into a business? So we're mindful to make sure that we're guided, and some people aren't cut out for business, but one, they've got to tick those 3 boxes, and 2, they've probably got to be able to make sure that they are passionate about being in business and what that commitment is. But it's not easy being in business.
No.
It's but that's the risk and reward thing. You can sit back and have a comfortable job, but in business you need to probably take a cut until you sort of grow it beyond your wage and build up your goodwill, and it is worth it at the end of the day. But it's funny how, like, when a lot of people go into business, it sort of clashes with the fact that their family is growing as a size way, and they've got devoted to their business, and they've got this family they've got to support when they've got kids from 5 to 15, which really need to be around, and that's an important one. It's sort of, you're going into business when you're 30, 40 and you've got a young family. So it always a bit of a clash, that scenario.
Yeah. And yeah, look, when I started my first business, I was in my 20s, and that was a challenge in itself. But yeah, not having a family and not having to worry about that was important, wasn't it? And then, yeah, when you have kids, it's a whole different ballpark. And that's when the passion, if it's not there, very quickly it becomes like the business becomes so much harder.
Yes,
because you're getting pulled in so many different directions, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think most people going to business don't have business skills. But we come out of our school system, we're not taught about business skills. We're not talking about investment skills. So we're all naive to that. And if you've gone to TAFE or university, you learnt some practical, some theoretical things, and you're not really learning practical things. I know when I finished all my studies, it was all the practical things that I learnt in dealing with business people, and I actually took extra studies to invest in those business skills and consulting skills, and also investment skills. So, no one has those skills. So you got to be mindful that no, I don't actually have them. So I need to leverage, and you're not going to learn them. So you need to surround yourself with people that got those skills to actually help you manage your business, because everyone's got like skills to be a plumber or electrician or accountant, but then to actually run an accounting practice or grow an accounting practice,
that's a different game. Completely. Yeah.
There's some accountants there that are just happy to do tax returns and financial statements, and they're sole practitioners, and because they don't really have the skills to grow the business. If you don't have the skills, you're not going to really have the desire to do that.
That's the other thing too. You kind of want to run a business. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I think, and it isn't for everyone, and that's not a bad thing either. Like,
yes.
You know, if you don't want to do it, that's fine as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But be mindful that if you are going to take that plunge, that how much do you want to put in, and how deep can you go?
Yeah, for sure. The one little technique I do use for clients, you've heard of the Pareto rule, where it's a good one, but like a lot of businesses, it says that like 20% of your customers probably produce 80% of your sales, or 20% of your products might represent 80% of your sales. So you look at trying to increase your sales from your existing customers, and the customers that represent 80%, which are only 20%, they're the ones you got to look after.
Yeah.
So they're your A clients, and it's like we've got A clients like that as well, and they need to be looked after, and they don't, from a sharing of admin support, they take up the least. So it sort of makes sense to really, when you've got a business, look after those key clients, and you look after those key clients, and they'll breed new A clients. They'll refer their friends that are similar to them.
Yeah, and how powerful, and especially I think in Geelong too, how powerful is that referral?
Yes.
Like people love to tell people when they find a great business they're working with.
Yes.
And I think if you can create raving fans on your own client base, that becomes some of your best marketing you can ever do.
For sure. And you've got to ask your clients for a referral.
Yeah.
Like sometimes a client might think, of customers, oh, you're busy, I don't want to make you even busy, I want you to look after us, right? So we'll say to our clients, like, you've been a great client, we love looking after you. We've got capacity to take on more work, we're growing, we want to service more clients like yourself. If you've got any associates that want a second opinion about their accounting and financial service, please speak to us. We'd love to have a chat, So if you don't ask, you don't get. That's probably my favourite saying. So you have to ask, and you've got to have capacity to take on more work, and for business owners out there, ask. Make your existing clients are the ones that can be your best word of mouth, best referrers. So please ask the question, look after them. We've got our quarterly team meeting on Thursday afternoon, and we go over like a bit of a planning session, what we're wanting to do the next 3 months. So we're sharing what our management are wanting to do with the rest of the team, and get them involved in things. And we're actually talking about what makes up a great service to your clients, and sometimes we can be a little bit satisfactory in what we're doing with the clients, but there's not so many touch points you get to deal with your clients, and how can you make their experience even better? So the topic we're going to talk about, how can we make our experience better when they come into our office, or we're dealing with them on their phone, or what we're communicating with them? What can we make it more special that when they deal with McHenry Partners, that was really great, because that's the only time we get to deal with them. And there's some things that we'll come up with that can actually make the occasion more special. So what can you do out there to make it more special when the customers deal with you? Because when I was on holidays, Ray, and I did read this little book. It was an old book, and it was called The Simple Truths of Service, and it was written by Ken Blanchard, and he had a favourite quote here. He said, "Profit is the applause you get for taking care of your customers and creating a motivating environment for your people." So taking care of your customers and taking care of your people, if you can get the right people and take care of them both, they will be really happy and buy more, and the profit will generate from that. So how can we make our customers happier?
So what was it? So the profit is the applause.
The applause.
That is
the
fantastic.
applause, yeah. So we can always do better with our existing customers,
Yeah.
and that will mean they might buy more, they might refer more. So think of those things.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that sort of came up in the Good to Great was the curse of competence. You know, the being good at something and doing it well, you can sort of go, okay, we're doing well. But, you know, it only takes somebody else to come in and do it a little bit better.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, you know, your well isn't good enough, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's fantastic. Spend time. How can we make that journey for the customer more meaningful
Yes.
and more valuable for them?
Yeah, and finish off that Good to Great book, but what I got out of that was it wasn't anything remarkable that was trying to make a good business great. It was just saying that the good businesses were happy at being good, but having the leaders and management and the right people that were passionate about it, that consistently and from a discipline point of view, consistently were working hard on their business to keep doing what they do well, but keep doing it really consistently in a disciplined way. They just inched, improved, and all of a sudden they went from good to great because, and that was the key to it, which was, you know, so if you've got a good business out there and you're still passionate and you're really competitive in the market and it's a profitable business, you just have all the team driving it and doing it as well as you can, and, you know, it'll become greater.
Yeah, that's it. Keep working, keep growing. Stephen, it's been amazing having you here and having a chat, mate. Appreciate your time, and looking forward to what comes out of the next 5 years for you, and I'll keep an eye on that. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.